Hey everyone, Steve here from Big Head Tech, and today another laptop review. No, we already did this one, and you guys really like that, by the way. My wife has graciously lent me her brand new Lenovo 2-in-1. This is the Flex 5 14-inch 2-in-1 with a Ryzen 5 4500U. And her opinion, it's probably the best $600 laptop she's ever used. I'll leave you guys to decide if you agree with her on that. But let's take a look at everything that comes with it and just see if this is the perfect 2-in-1 thin and light for somebody on the go, college students, etc. So first things first, we will go over the specs. We have a Ryzen 5 4500U. That is a 6-core, 6-thread CPU with a minimum clock speed of 2.3, maximum clock speed of 4.0. On this particular laptop, it will exceed that 15 watts for burst, assuming thermals are under control. We do have 4 I/O. We have a headphone microphone combo port here. We have a USB Type-C, which is used for charge and display out, etc. HDMI, an old-fashioned power cord. Do note that this model actually came with a USB-C charger, so it didn't come with the older one. A nice stylus here, which my wife really does enjoy. Then over on the side here, we have the power button, a micro or full-size SD card slot, and then 2 USB Type-A ports. The screen itself is an IPS, probably 250 nits brightness, so it's nothing to write home about. That's probably going to be the main complaint that people do have about this particular laptop. Is outside it's probably not going to be bright enough to really use, but that being said, for $600 you do get a lot with it, and this stylus is Bluetooth, which is really cool. The keyboard itself, it's pretty decent, no complaints here. Very similar to my IdeaPad. Trackpad is large enough, and there also is a fingerprint sensor, which is really cool. So this is going to use a Torx screwdriver. This is size 5, I believe. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 screws to take out. And if I remember correctly, the front ones are a little bit shorter. So make sure you just don't get them mixed up here. So taking a look here, we have the cutest little SSD I've seen. Of course, a lot of these are coming in half size. What's nice though, they put this metal extension so it will fit a full 2280 NVMe SSD. There doesn't, from my recollection, seem to be expansion, so you would have to replace this drive to expand it. You do have this should be an 802.11 AX, or actually this might even be a Wi-Fi 6 card. And then the battery itself here, 52.5 watt hours. So compared to some of the other laptops I reviewed and the power output, this should definitely have pretty good battery life. We have very solid cooling, 2 full heat pipes, probably, these are probably 6 or 8 millimeters. And looking at the back here, you have a full cutout right here. So if you remember my review of the Asus TUF, these vents were blocked, so it's able to intake air here, and then it will go ahead and blow it out right here, which is also completely open as well. So that's completely open as well. So you really don't have to worry about suffocating. You should be able to use this as an everyday laptop and even some light productivity as well. But the memory is soldered. I think the memory is actually under here. So this version is 16 gigabytes, 3200 megahertz with a 256 gig NVMe SSD. That's my recommendation, because if you get the 8 gig model, even with the upgrade processor, you can't upgrade the memory. So get as much performance as you can get, just upgrade the SSD later if you need to. So very quickly, I want to go over the specs of the 3 main laptops that we're comparing. My old IdeaPad 330S, the Lenovo IdeaPad 515, which was my previous laptop before the Legion 5, and the Lenovo Flex 5 14-inch. I do have some other laptops and processors in some of these benchmarks, but these are the three main that we're looking at today. When looking at Cinebench here, it's really interesting. When we compare the 2500U, the 25 watt version, going to the 15 watt 4500U, that being said, this particular chip definitely hits in the 30s because thermals are able to be contained by the Flex 5. There's a big increase, despite us actually going from 8 threads down to 6, although we are going up from 4 cores up to 6 cores. The multi-core and single thread jump substantially. We go from right around 1300 in R20 all the way to about 2400. And then the single core, we go from 290, which honestly isn't very good, all the way up to 443. So now we're in desktop class area. We're actually scoring above some of the Ryzen 2000 desktop chips in single core performance. So we're seeing a huge jump from basically the earlier first and second gen Ryzen chips to now the third gen, which is the Ryzen 4000. So Blender BMW actually added version 2.83 as well. I used to run on 2.79. However, I've noticed that 2.83 yields better results. When we go from the previous generation Ryzen chips with 2.83, we go from just under 11 minutes to 7.5 minutes. We are shedding off 30 to 40% multi-core performance going from the second and third gen chips to the fourth gen. That is a huge gain. And when comparison, I don't have it on here, but when we look at, say, version 2.79, for example, I know the 4500U was scoring in a ballpark of a 9600K in a multi-core workload, even when overclocked to like 4647. So this chip is very, very impressive. But let's take a look at some synthetic games and real games to see if the Vega 6 chip can hold up. When looking at synthetics here, we are going to keep the Ryzen 3 3200U into the discussion. However, for the games, I have not been able to test that. But the 4500U, huge gains. Obviously, the CPU helps a fair bit, but the increase of power going from a Vega 8 to a Vega 6, which you're going Vega 8 first gen to Vega 6 third gen, huge gains. When we look at 3D Mark Night Raid, we go from basically right around 8,000 to 11,300. When we look at Final Fantasy 14 Shadowbringers, granted, this is low 768p, we go from 3663 all the way up to 6593. So even really big gains. Most of those is going to be on the graphical side, but that's all fine and dandy. Let's take a look at actual. So the games that I have tested on this is F1 2018, The Division 2, and Ghost Recon Wildlands. So on 720p low settings across the board, this laptop did fare pretty well. 40 FPS with Ghost Recon Wildlands, 44 on Division 2, F1 2018 was 52 FPS. Granted, this is all in low settings. But when you take a look at some other games that I normally test, like Forza Horizon 4, 720p low settings, honestly, I would say you should be able to fetch probably in the 30s to 40s. I think the 4700U, I was in the 40 FPS range on that particular game. But games like World of Warcraft, Rocket League, Hearthstone, Dota 2, League of Legends, Overwatch. A lot of those games you can start to crank the details up from low, bring the resolution up to 1080p, and you're able to get some good, in the case of World of Warcraft, 40, 50, 60 FPS in many of the scenarios I was testing, no problem. GTA 5, for example, 1080p with really low settings, you can run in that 30 to 40 FPS range, which is honestly very impressive for an integrated graphics chip. But definitely no slouch. We have had some really big gains. We're in the 30s down on the 2500U, and now we're in the 40s and 50s when we have the 4500U with the new Vega 6 chip. What do I think of this laptop overall? Well, you're kind of stuck between a rock and a hard place. You want the performance, and this thing gives amazing performance for $600. It's light, it's portable, battery life solid. It can do some on-the-go editing, with, as you saw, Blender, perform very well. You can even play games like World of Warcraft, Hearthstone, Dota 2, League of Legends, CSGO, probably Overwatch. You know, those lower demanding games that like medium-low settings with good frame rate. The downside is a laptop like this, one of the big selling points is going to be, you know, with the stylus, the touchscreen, and it is only about 250 nits brightness. Its RGB coverage is not fantastic. If I have the information, I'll put it here. And that's kind of what a lot of people look for in two-in-ones. The problem is if you invest that much money into a screen, you're going to cut the power in half. You're probably going to lose half the processing power, half the memory, to get those kind of specs in a screen. So really what it comes down to is either spend a little bit more money on some of the brands like the HP, I think X360. It's a bit more expensive with the same specs, but it's going to have that higher brightness screen, better color reproduction, stuff like that. Or find a lower end version of that with lesser specs. Personally, for me, I'm not somebody that's going to use a laptop outside. The screen's fine. It's just as good as my Lenovo Legion 5 and the Acer I just reviewed. So for me, this is a perfect laptop. Inexpensive. I think $600 is the top end of affordable. 6 processing cores that can wipe the floor with just about anything Intel's put out in the last year or so, even faster than their quad-core thread i5s. Plenty of system memory for, you know, heavy tasks. Upgradable storage, 256 gigs, a good start. Has the touchscreen, has actually a nice stylus. This is the plug-in to the USB, by the way, in case you're wondering. The I/O is great for what it is. I love the fingerprint sensor. Keyboard's good for what it is. Trackpad's fine. There's actually one other complaint. If you're going to ship with the USB Type-C charger, why do you have a legacy port? That to me makes no sense. My wife made the point that her previous Lenovo Yoga has that charger. How often do you go from a Yoga that uses the round connector to a newer Lenovo? I think they should just put a second Type-C port. Personally, that would have been great. One for charging, you know, either one for charging, video output, display, whatever have you, would have been great. But I recommend it. I bought this from Amazon for $599.99 plus tax. I'll put a link in the description below. If you liked the video, hit the like button. Get subscribed. If you buy anything on Amazon, do note I do get paid a small percentage commission through the affiliate link. I have to be, you know, upfront about that, obviously. But anyway, like the video if you liked it, dislike, leave a comment, get subscribed. And as always, this is Steve from Big Head Tech, and I'll see y'all later on down the road.